it's me, Dan, and in this video I wanted to talk a little bit about mental zones and mental hygiene. Now, perhaps one of the biggest afflictions facing people, and also one of the least understood, is this idea of mental zones and mental hygiene. So what do I mean when I'm talking about that? I'm talking about the actual contents and patterns that are in your mind. What are you thinking about from moment to moment? Most people really aren't in much control of their own mind, and as a result of that, it's very polluted. And that's not good. That even though they're not really aware of it and they don't have much cognizance of it, it still affects everything about them. It affects their personality, it affects their mood, it affects their actions, it even affects how their body functions. And so it's really an important thing to address. And, you know, really what I'm talking about is a very subtle layer of reality. There are various layers of reality, obviously, and they all have varying degrees of solidity and subtlety. You know, the thoughts that you think are a lot less obvious than the ground and the dirt than a plant. It's less obvious than the air, but it still very much exists. Obviously you have thoughts and you have things passing through your mind. You perceive them, therefore they are real. So how do we address this? You know, because this is so this isn't understood very well, and so few people are talking about this, there isn't much context or there's just not much thought going into affecting this area and improving it. And as a result, there are often people get into these weird mental zones that sort of get passed around and really have ill effects on the person and on others around them. It carries over, it spreads like this mental virus almost. It's not a good scene. And so in this video I'd like to talk about how to address that. Now there are potentially multiple techniques, but the one I'm going to recommend to do today is you want to tune into nature's mental path. You see, you could have all sorts of fancy theoretical ideas of how your body should work and how your mind should be and how your energetics should operate. But the fact is, you're not going to go wrong if you're listening to nature. It's just your nature, it's how you're meant to be. So when you align with the greater world of nature around you, you get back to your own personal nature. It's part of the same system. You want to reintegrate into that bigger flow. So keeping in with that theme of reintegrating into the bigger flow, say you're in nature, or you recognize that you potentially have something in your mental field that is not of your own and you don't want it to be there, you can go out into nature, anything will do, and you simply quietly sit and observe and really try to take in and find and feel out the mental zone that you are witnessing nature having all around you. Nature is always in this perfect mental zone, and you just need to get back there. So one thing you can do is to use the living forms around you. I came out here in nature where it's very natural and far away from any distractions, and you can just observe the world around you, the nature taking place around you, and feel the living patterns. Feel the actual mental space that the plants and all of everything around you is exhibiting. And in this way, you start to tune in. Your mental field aligns with that mental field and it becomes part of this seamless pattern. You rejoin the flow of life. Now, that's good if you have nature available readily, but if you don't, you can always use the sun. Right now, the sun is shining directly on my face, but the sun is a very large, powerful beacon of this proper natural mental zone. So, anytime, night or day, you can always just think of the sun very deeply and feel the sun and tune into its mental field. Try to feel and experience the mental field that the sun is experiencing and propagating, and that way you will realign yourself with nature. So that is just one way of doing it, using nature as your guide. There are other methods that potentially involve using just directly tuning into your own soul, But for now, why don't you just start by tuning into nature directly? So to recap, mental zones are very important and not very well understood and recognized. They, they affect everything about you, and most people have mental zones that are in very poor states. And what I recommend doing is to try to get back to nature and to try to restore your mental zone to a natural state. So I hope you'll start to pay attention to that more and more, and start to really pay attention to this subtle layer of your own being, your mental zone. What are you thinking about every day? And as you start to pay more attention to it, also keeping it in better and healthier condition. And I'm sure you will find that as you do this, you will start to feel better, and all sorts of great things will start to come into your life and happen within you. So on that note, I hope you have a great day. Bye.